everybody, I'm Ron Cantor and you're watching Out of Zion on God TV. This coming June will mark Jerusalem's 50th birthday since being reunited with Israel. We know that Jerusalem was Israel's capital more than 3,000 years ago, but when Israel became a nation, the old city fell into the hands of the Jordanians. It remained that way until 1967. Israel was about to be attacked on three fronts. Israel, understanding that allowing the enemy to strike first could be the end of her existence, sent a preemptive strike against Egypt and Syria, beginning what is known today as the Six-Day War. Let's take the next several days and talk about this amazing victory. It was considered one of the most impressive, if not the most impressive, UN peacekeeping missions in history. I'm speaking of the United Nations Emergency Force, or UNEF, that was deployed in the Sinai Desert from 1956 until 1967. What happened in 1967 that caused this great, impressive force to leave? A letter was sent to UNEF from Egypt's president asking them to get out, and that's exactly what they did. To summarize, the most impressive peacekeeping force ever ran for the hills at the first sign of friction. Very impressive indeed. This was in May 1967. Gamal Nasser, the president of Egypt, immediately sent his troops into the Sinai to fill the void. Next, he closed the Straits of Tiran, announcing that no Israeli ship will ever navigate its waters again. They also forbid the shipment of strategic materials to Israel on non-Israeli vessels. And to make himself completely clear, he sent 2 submarines, a destroyer, and 4 missile launchers through the Suez Canal to the Red Sea. This move would cripple the Israeli economy, as the port of Eilat would be useless. It was in fact an act of war. By noon, May 23rd, Israel was in total mobilization. Buses ceased, roads were deserted, foreign dignitaries went home, and El Al flights were canceled. Israel was bracing for war. Years before, in 1964, then General Yitzhak Rabin, the brand new chief of staff, testified in a speech before Israel's Knesset, or parliament, that any future wars would have to be won in 4 days. Historian and author Howard Sachar summarizes it. It could not take substantially longer for economic reasons. The implications were that Israel should act preemptively. Yes, to avoid alienating world opinion, the nation was left with no recourse but to allow the enemy to mobilize, gather on Israel's border, proclaim to the world that this time the Jews would be liquidated, then strike out against the enemy at the last possible moment. The Mossad, under the direction of Izzy Harel, was brilliant in providing Israel with information about her enemies. Israel would have to know exactly when the enemy would strike and then beat her to the punch. Nasser was ready to attack. The day after the UN forces left, he went to the airways to rant. As of today, there no longer exists an international emergency force to protect Israel. We shall exercise patience no more. We shall not complain anymore to the UN about Israel. The sole method we shall apply against Israel is total war, which will result in the extermination of the Zionist existence. Syrian Defense Minister Hafez Assad, who would go on to become the president and birth the present dictator, joined in. Quote, "Our forces are now entirely ready, not only to repulse the aggression, but to initiate the act of liberation itself, and to explode the Zionist presence in the Arab homeland. The Syrian army with its finger on the trigger is united. I, as a military man, believe that the time has come to enter into a battle of annihilation." There was no question Israel was about to be attacked, and the goal was total destruction. Would this be the end of the tiny Jewish nation born out of the ashes of the Holocaust, or would she somehow survive? Tune in tomorrow as we continue. And make sure you go to God.tv so you never miss an episode. And you can find me at roncantor.com.